and welcome to the Healing Waters broadcast. I am your host, Marie Kennedy Groves, and I am so excited to restart because we did the Chick Chat series last year, but I am so excited to restart the Chick Chat series for 2023. And when I tell you that we have some phenomenal guests that are coming on the Chick Chat series this year, I'm telling you, you are not going to be disappointed. And we start off the Chick Chat series today with a brand new friend of mine that I literally have just met and am so excited about. Dr. Ina Lozinski. I'm messing up your last name. Correct.
Lozinskaya.
Okay, there you go. We're going to call her Dr. Ina.
Yes.
Because I'm going to mess up your last name and I don't want to butcher it anymore. But she is a phenomenal woman that is, when I read down through your list of credentials, my mind was absolutely completely blown. I was like, oh my gosh, like you have some education under your belt. But so that I don't mess this up, I want to read you her bio just purely so that you guys can see and hear what this woman is all about. Because I'm telling you, when I was reading down through her bio, I got extremely excited because I just thought of a bazillion questions I wanted to ask her. So here we go. Dr. Ina, MD, is a physician, international speaker, author, mentor, wife, and so much more. She is a founder and CEO of Midlife Wellness Institute, where she helps her clients restore their health and vitality by addressing the root cause of your symptoms and optimizing hormones and metabolisms. Hello. Dr. Ina was inspired when she experienced a life-changing transformation after years of suffering with hormonal imbalances, low energy, and poor sleep that prevented her from living the life of her dreams. She is on the mission to prove that optimized hormones and balanced metabolism will help you feel well and live the life you want, regardless of age. Dr. Ina's signature 4-step wellness method combines advanced diagnostic testing with a natural approach to healing, helping hundreds of her clients feel years younger and love the way they look and feel. Her easy-to-follow individual wellness programs help clients restore their energy, weight, mood, sleep, memory, and performance. Dr. Ina speaks she speaks locally, nationally, and internationally about combining the best of traditional and holistic approach to create optimal well-being. Offering her insight to medical colleagues, professionals, and entrepreneurs. She is also mentoring medical students, helping her future colleagues practice medicine in a better way. I love that. You do not know how much I love that. So I have got to ask you, first of all, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend with us on the Healing Waters broadcast.
Hi, Marie. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, oh my gosh. All right. So I'm going to let you tell just real briefly a little bit of background on what pulled you from the natural or standard medicine practice over to the holistic side, if you don't mind.
Certainly. I practiced traditional medicine, hospital medicine for 26 years. And I absolutely loved it. And I was trained in traditional medical school. I was trained all over the world, starting in Eastern Europe, then ending in US. And I always worked in a hospital, mostly intensive care units, specialized floors, general medicine floors. And I worked naturally with very sick people who needed to be in a hospital and needed to be in ICU. And I genuinely believed that, this is the best medicine can offer worldwide, and this is all there is to it. My husband and I came to the States when we were 25. And we were super healthy, excited. We came with American dream. We were willing to work very hard. And I'm proud to say that my whole American dream came true. Except one sense that was not necessarily planned. I started feeling unwell. I wasn't sick, I just wasn't well anymore. I started gaining weight, I was losing hair, my energy was going downhill. And I really didn't have an explanation for it other than, well, my job is stressful. And so for a while, I just really, I guess, didn't pay attention until it accumulated over time enough that I did have to pay attention because my energy was significantly down. And that was the first time I saw a primary care doctor, and we ran the battery of tests, and I heard my first, wow, you're super healthy. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And I said, maybe that's how it feels to be in 30s. Well, it kept getting worse. And next decade, it was harder and harder to do things. And I lost my hobbies because I really just didn't have energy for it. And I was pushing through the day, and it was really being in survival mode for years. And I had miscarriages, which was heartbreaking. And that was probably the main thing that pushed me to keep seeking attention, doctor's attention. And one time after another, you're super healthy, everything is normal. So at some point, I was pretty much allergic to everything is normal because I certainly didn't feel normal.
Right.
And then with, getting closer to 40s, I started getting more on top of everything is normal. Everybody's feeling this way. Like that's how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's how it is in 30s, and then that's how it is in 40s, I thought, wow, I cannot wait to be 60. So something was not right about that, but everything I knew in traditional medicine training and experience didn't give me the answers. So it was pretty confusing. And it was getting worse and worse. And finally, around 40, I noticed that my memory is much worse. And it's not like I was not losing my keys yet,
Yeah.
but it was noticeable enough that it was affecting my work. And at that point, I drew the line. I had to get to the bottom of it. And so I'm seeing yet another doctor. And in fact, at that point, I couldn't sleep well. I was anxious. I really thought something bad is going on. And so I remember sitting in the office waiting to hear my lab results. And part of me was really scared, thinking something bad is going to be diagnosed. But then part of me was hoping that at least we know what it is so we can maybe fix it.
Mm-hmm.
The doc comes in, white smile, you're perfect, everything is perfectly normal, you are healthy. In fact, you're healthy as a horse. And that was confusing. And I said, did you even hear what I said? I don't feel normal. I don't feel well. I struggle, and I struggle more and more. I don't know where it's going, but it's not going in the right direction. And he said, well, let's look at your blood work together. And we looked through the blood work, and sure enough, it was normal. And that night was what we call dark night of the soul. First of all, I was crying in the car driving back to work. And then at work, all of a sudden, I saw everything through different eyes. And I saw all the super sick people that I'm seeing with cancers and Alzheimer's disease and heart attacks and strokes didn't start there. They started 20 years ago when they didn't feel well. And they were told everything is normal, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And they trusted, and they did. So that night, laying anxious and sleepless, I finally realized that traditional medicine has all answers for acute illness, and we have all the best tools in the world to help you survive, but we don't have tools to help you thrive. And if that's what I'm looking for, I just have to look elsewhere. It's not a problem with medicine. Each modality, if you will, has its own toolbox. And it meant that toolbox is meant for something specific. And I was not acutely ill. I was getting there, but right that moment in time, I just was not well. I was not balanced. And so I realized I'll have to look elsewhere. And it was scary because I knew insurance is not going to cover in it. But I also realized I have one life to live, and I was not willing to settle for mediocrity just because everybody else is feeling this way.
Right.
So I had to step outside of the system, and I went to Harvard to study Chinese medicine, and then I looked into Ayurvedic medicine with Deepak Chopra in his center in San Diego, and it gave me some answers. I was definitely learning some things, but it still did not give me a transformation of, I wanted to feel how it used to be 20 years ago. And I was not willing to accept it's your age and that's how it happens. Somehow in my heart, I knew it wasn't true. So by just grace of God, I actually accidentally ended up in a functional medicine conference. And within the first hour, I still get good goosebumps when I talk about it, but within the first hour, I heard that I'm not alone, that there are millions of people going through the same thing, that it has an explanation, it has a root cause, and the best thing, it's reversible. And I learned the tools, and my life today started that day with that conference. And so without even thinking, I signed up for the training with Institute for Functional Medicine. I trained with them. I went further to train with Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. And, I'm a lifelong learner. But what I learned and the way my life transformed and my health transformed, within just weeks, I started feeling better. Within several months, I remember one day I woke up and I felt, I am back. Like, that's me. That's the woman I used to know. Yeah. And I lost weight, even though I didn't try to. But, when we're inflamed, we get all this extra weight. And the moment your inflammation is down, body doesn't feed what it doesn't need. And so I felt different, and then I looked different, and my colleagues started coming to me, and all of a sudden that everybody's feeling the same way started coming out, because there is a shame and guilt to not feeling well and not functioning optimally. And so everybody tries to hide that secret and push through and pretends that everything is normal. And when I started looking, feeling different, and it just was obvious, all my colleagues were coming to me and saying, whatever you do, and I'm miserable. And they were telling me all the things that I used to suffer with for 15 years. And so I started sharing what I knew, and I was seeing this transformation. So it wasn't just me, it was across the board. And that's when I realized I just cannot keep practicing medicine the way I used to, because I just didn't feel authentic anymore. I couldn't tell people this is the only way. It's true, when you are in intensive care unit, this is the only way, this is the best way, when it's survival at that point.
Right.
But now I knew that it doesn't have to be this way, it can be prevented, and you can really live life, the best life you dreamed to have. And so I quit hospital medicine, and left the hospital in 2018 and opened my own practice. And so now I'm helping people to thrive and to get their life back and to just enjoy good health, because if there is no health, then nothing else is going to make it for you. It's not about money. It's not about resources. We've seen in the hospital medicine, it's heartbreaking, but reality is over 70% of Americans end up in a nursing home at the end of life. And it's not because they don't have money or resources. It's simply because they just cannot function at home anymore.
Oh my gosh.
So that's my long answer to your question.
No, it's an amazing answer. And I think it sets us up so much for what I'm wanting to ask you. And what you said about, having a life that's thriving and not just surviving. It's funny because I don't know if you can see my shirt. Can you see my shirt?
Yes.
It's
Wow.
our slogan here at Healing Waters is
Wow.
not just surviving, but thriving.
Okay. Well,
And because we weren't born to just survive, we were born to thrive. And there's every reason in the world why we should. Yet we try to cover up the symptoms instead of going to the root of what's causing the issue.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
so, oh my gosh, I have so many questions for you. So,
Right.
before we get into the questions, we're going to take a short commercial break and we will be right back to talk about some burning questions that are on my mind that I know that are on every woman's mind. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions that probably women are scared to ask. So,
Looking forward to it.
so that's your challenge for when you come back. But stay tuned. We will be right back to engage in some question and answer time that I think is going to rock all of our lives. So we will be right back.
80% of women will develop a pelvic health condition at some point in their lives. There is relief. There is hope. The Pelvic Floor Store, your resource for personal health.
And we are back. I am here with Dr. Ina, and we are thrilled and excited that she has taken time out of her crazy busy schedule to come and talk to us about women's health. And about, if you are just tuning in, make sure that you go back and listen to the first half of this broadcast, because she tells her story of why she started exploring holistic type of medicine versus the standard type medicine that she has always been in. And it's just, all right. So Dr. Ina, I have so many questions for you. So menopause is a huge subject.
Yes.
That I will be honest with you. So I'm 50. What am I now? I've stopped and think about it. I'm 52 years old, and I went through menopause in 2020. And I was always, leading up to menopause, it was always that I dreaded menopause so bad because of what I heard. I mean, everybody would talk about, oh, how horrible menopause was. And oh my gosh, and the things that I heard the most about was the depression that you feel, that foggy mind, like memory loss type thing that you were talking about, hot flashes, vaginal dryness. I mean, like all this stuff, the sleeplessness, like how you can't sleep. And a couple of years before I hit menopause, I had decided that I was going to beat this menopause thing and that I was not going to be a statistic. And so I started doing as much research around menopause as I possibly could to see how I could beat those symptoms. And I wish I could remember the doctor's name that I ran across. She was doing an interview with somebody, and I can't even remember who now, but it literally changed my life. And I would love to ask you your opinion of this. In a nutshell, what she said is one of the big reasons why we have all the symptoms that are associated with menopause is because we have not faced our traumas, our past life stuff. And when we hit that stage in life with our hormones and everything that happens, everything bubbles up and we can't suppress it any longer. And we feel absolutely crazy. And it comes out in a lot of different ways in our bodies at that period in our life. What's your thoughts on that?
It's a great question. It's rarely asked, but I think a lot of people have it on their mind. We are not just the body. We are the body for sure, but we're not just the body. We are body, mind, and spirit.
Right.
And in ideal world, it should be aligned. Our body houses our spirit. We should treat our body with respect. We should take care of ourselves. We should grow spiritually. That's ultimately what life is about. We're too stressed and too busy and too inflamed to pay much attention to that spiritual growth. We just don't have time anymore. So it is true that as we go through life, our body accumulates inflammation, which is a very physical process, and it affects our metabolism, and it affects our hormones, and it gets us out of balance very early, sometimes way before menopause. But then lack of spiritual alignment and growth also affects us, and it doesn't feel physically, but it's still there. And it is true, as your hormones shift and you get out of balance, and perimenopause begins 12 years before the menopause, you still have a lot of estrogen, but you have less and less progesterone, so you sleep less and less.
So let me ask you, did I hear you right? Menopause starts 12 years before it actually manifests.
No. So it's perimenopause that lasts about 12 years, and then menopause begins. So in perimenopause, average age of menopause in US is about 52 years, which means our perimenopause begins somewhere around 40, and we're very young, super busy, and last thing you think about is your hormones at that point. And they start to change. And nowadays, with toxicity we all face, and with inflammation we all deal with, and level of stress, I see women going into perimenopause even much earlier. They're already out of balance, and they're in their 30s. And it's not just about sex hormones. It's also cortisol, which is your stress hormone. It's your thyroid, which is your metabolic furnace. And all of these hormones are related, and they all affect each other. And so as your hormones start to shift into your midlife, which midlife officially begins at 35 by World Health Organization, and so as those hormones start shifting, you still have your periods, everything is still happening, so you don't think about hormones, but imbalance is already there. And the further it goes, the more imbalance we accumulate, and the more inflamed we are, the even more imbalance we have. And your progesterone is natural anti-anxiety, so when it goes down, we feel more anxious. And estrogen is your fire, it's your go-getter. And so when you still have a lot of estrogen, but you have less and less progesterone, you start having less and less filters. And, in menopause, it definitely becomes very obvious. And sometimes women come and say, I should have zipped it, but I said it, and then I regretted it. It's just part of it. And we offer it antidepressants, extremely common. I think 90% of women, when they come to see their GYN or primary care doc complaining of menopause symptoms, it is depressing, it is scary. You don't understand what's happening, your energy is down, your mood is all over the place. And so it's hard to understand. Women come, they don't feel good about it because it doesn't feel good. And in traditional medicine, all they have is antidepressants. So naturally, you get handed antidepressant, which I don't want to be numb. I want it fixed. I think I would feel better. And antidepressant doesn't fix it. And that's why you see so many women, they come, they're on antidepressants, they don't feel any better. It's just this dull feeling that they describe. I was offered antidepressant at some point, and I just said no. But a lot of people, use what they can. And so they go on antidepressants. You cannot fix menopause with antidepressants. The hormones, I believe, I mean, they certainly have physiological role in our body. Your hormones govern every single process in your body. Naturally, when your hormones get out of whack, your body will get out of whack. It's part of it. But again, we're not just the bodies, we're spiritual beings. And so when body gets out of balance, it is reflected on our spirit, and so is this mood swings and all craziness. And I think every truly physiological process can be explained from spirituality standpoint of view. And so naturally, as we go through menopause, there is this unhappiness. Who am I? I certainly don't feel like I used to. I don't have that drive. I don't enjoy things I used to enjoy. Who am I anymore? Like, I don't even know who I am anymore. And that's a big spiritual question too. And certainly when your hormones and your energy and your sleep don't allow you to recover well and repair well, all those past traumas that were there and they were not processed now come up because everything surfaces. In Chinese medicine, I really like the concept. It's like a story. They say, and Chinese medicine is very energetic, and so there is a lot of spirituality embedded in it. And so they say woman's life can be viewed in cycles of 7 years. And so when woman lives 2 cycles of 7, which is 14, she gets a menarche, right? And so they Chinese say the heart endows uterus with the ability to bring forth life. And when woman lives 7 cycles of 7, which is when she reaches 49, the uterus returns the gift back to the heart. And from there on, woman is meant to live from her heart. And I love that story because it really shows how our midlife is really our 30s, 40s, having children, bringing up children, having family, building career. It's about just manifesting things in outside world. Yeah. And menopause is a time when we are called in, and it's time for personal growth for every woman. Now the world is about her manifesting herself, the beauty of her maturity, the beauty of her spirit. If she is well and healthy, you can see this women blossoming. Right. But when hormones out of whack and metabolism is out of whack and nothing feels good, that's when it becomes a struggle.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You are, 100% on point.
Yeah.
With everything that you're saying. And I can literally hear the echoes of women listening to this broadcast, just going, oh my gosh, that's me. That is me. And I'm here to tell you that through natural means and through doing a lot of the work internally, I am one of the few people that will tell you that menopause has been one of the best times of my life. Like, I'm not saying I never have a hot flash, because I do from time to time, but I always know what triggers it. Sugar triggers it. If I'm dehydrated and not drinking enough water, I'll definitely get more hot flashes. There's just certain things that I have learned that bring those things on. But as far as the depression, the brain fogginess, the vaginal dryness, all the stuff that people talk about around menopause, doctor, I've not experienced any of that. And I have literally, and I tell everybody, these are literally the best years I've ever lived. So I guess I'd say that to say, I know it's possible. I know what you're saying is possible. And it doesn't have to be what everybody talks about. So this breaks my heart, but we are running out of time. Would you be open to coming back on the broadcast and having further discussion at a later date that works in your schedule?
I would love to, because I think it's important to understand hormones. It's important to know what's available, what's possible. There are health implications of menopause too, and it's extremely important to know. So I would love to come back.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, open invitation. We'll talk after this broadcast and figure out the next time we can put this on the calendar that works for you. But in the meantime, I know that there's a million women out there that are saying, how do I get a hold of Dr. Ina and get more information and get her help? How can they connect with you and get more information from you?
So our website is www.midlifewellnessinstitute.com. And you will have a lot of resources there. So, learning about yourself and about your body needs is important. So that's one way to find us. Our practice phone number is 720-636-3040. And we are in Denver, Colorado, but we are national. So we have clients all over the country. And I was asked so many times, I finally put together a optimal hormone solutions guide, which we give out for free. I think every woman needs to understand her hormones, understand what it means when they're out of balance, what needs to be done, how you can help yourself, when to reach for more help, and what kind of help is available. So we're happy to offer it for free. And Marie, I will send you the link so you can share it with your clients and with your listeners.